Dzień dobry and hello. Today I would like to actually talk about books. So as I said in my last video, it's been extremely difficult for me to have the same passion that I used to have for a lot of things that I really enjoy. And one of those things is reading. Past few years, my Goodreads challenges have been extremely terrible to look at. So if you don't know, every year on Goodreads, you can have a goal of how many books you plan to read for that year. My recent years have been awful, but I really want to rediscover my love of books. So let's get into the video. I'm going to tell you the 5 books I'm challenging myself to finish by the end of this year. So let's start with book number 1. This is actually the only physical book that I'm reading, and it is Hardboiled, Wonderland, and the End of the World, a Murakami book. And I actually really enjoyed this. I started reading it when I had a flight to the US recently, so I got a good chunk of this book completed already. There's my bookmark. The thing that I enjoy about this is because it's a bit sci-fi, which usually isn't my thing, but it has so many kind of fantastical elements as well that it has been really engaging to read. One thing that I've had to do is constantly reread passages, not because I'm zoning out, because I'm actually trying really hard to understand what the heck it's talking about and trying to visualize these different diagrams and explanations about how the brain works. So it's been challenging in a good way. Let's take a look at the next book that I'm reading, and I'm actually reading this one on my e-reader, and it is a collection of essays. It's called You Are Your Best Thing. So it's edited by Tarana Burke and Brene Brown, and it's a collection of essays from a variety of different Black authors, and it's all about the idea of shame in the Black community and how big of a role and the type of role that it plays in our lives. And I've only read a few of the essays so far. I think I've read 3, and each one has resonated with me personally, and it's one of those books that I'm actually taking time to annotate. So I'm writing notes and doing some self-reflection as I read it about my own behaviors, way of thinking, and really trying to delve deep into. The other book that I started is called Where the Crawdads Sing. I'd seen it pop up on Goodreads, even though I'm not reading that often. I'm always on Goodreads. It seemed like my type of book. I think it showed up after I read, what's that book called? The Book Woman. I'm gonna put the title somewhere here. And kind of that whole Appalachia backwoods kind of community. And I'm really drawn to those types of stories, probably because my family is country and I'm a country girl. No, I'm not a country girl at heart. I can't say that, but it's in my roots. And something in me really enjoys stories that are about that group of people, that kind of community, swampland, about barefoot children, things like that. I'm really drawn to it. The next one is an audiobook that I was listening to. It's only available on Audible, and it's from Russell Brand. And I am not a person who has been on like the Russell Brand train, but randomly, why did I read this? Picked it out because I had saw a YouTube video from him, and I was thinking, okay, let's see what this guy is about. I wasn't expecting much going into it, but again, it was during that period where I was doing a lot of self-reflection and trying to figure out my own head. And so actually I ended up really enjoying this audiobook. I was listening to it all the time when I was cleaning in the mornings, doing my morning routine. And I thought he had some pretty interesting things to say about people, about society, about what we really need to be happy and to be content within ourselves. And I think I was pretty close to the end of it, and I think that's something that I can finish by the end of this year. These last 2 are books that I haven't actually started. This was something that I've always struggled with, being a very shy kid, quiet kid, socially awkward, socially inept, anxious person. So I've always wanted to overcome that social anxiety. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being shy or being more of an introvert, but it shouldn't be to the point where you feel such distress over having to socialize. I have it. It's downloaded on my e-reader, but I have not actually cracked it open. Crazy Like Us. This is sort of about this mental health movement that has kind of started in the West, in the US, to the point where, you know, people have a medication for everything. We have a neurosis about everything. And that mindset is kind of exported out across the globe. And it's interesting because culturally, I would say, yes, it has been accepted to talk about in mainstream white American culture, but in other cultural groups in the US, I think it's either still kind of stigmatized or finally being accepted. I'll speak for the Black community. It's only very recently where talking about mental health, talking about past trauma, trying to figure out why you do the things you do has become socially acceptable and not seen as white people problems. So please tell me down below, like, what do you think I should read as my 5th book? Crazy Like Us or the Social Skills Guidebook. So that is it. Those are the 5-ish books that I'm pushing myself to finish reading by the end of this year. If I can get back the habit of reading like I used to have, it would be a piece of cake. But I know I don't really have that habit ingrained in me right now, so I'm gonna give myself some grace, but I will give myself something to feel accomplished about that will encourage me to continue. Until the next video then, bye.